I'm going to fly. As long as they're closed, I mean.
Yeah, right. Stay there.
We're live on YouTube with mics right now. Tasting mics.
I'll clear that as well.
Test.
Test.
All right, podium sound check for 317. I do have a here to
Test.
So you're gonna
Test. Test.
all right.
Test.
We got the thumbs up. Thank you, sir.
This is Region 6. Can you hear us all right?
You're a little low, Region 6, Glasgow.
Thank you. Is that any better?
Yes.
Good morning. This is Region 7. Can you hear us?
Okay, Region 7.
All right.
Good morning. This is Region 5. Just checking.
Region 5, affirmative.
All right, welcome everyone. We'll get started here. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from the last meeting? I would entertain a motion.
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Second.
Okay, I have Commissioner Tabor and Commissioner Siebel with the second. Any corrections or additions? All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I just want to let everyone know that Commissioner Siebel is remote today. So just a reminder, Commissioner Siebel, just speak up if I forget about you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, next will be the approval of the commission expenses.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Commissioner Siebel.
I reviewed the expenses that were presented, and I think my suggestion would be is that we push off approval of these expenses. I'm looking at my own. It shows a very large charge for communications and postage. So I'm questioning whether these reports are right with no travel, no honorarium since for the last couple months. So I'd like to propose that we relook at these expenses, and I don't think they're accurate.
Okay, thank you. And maybe we can move that to this afternoon. And if not, we'll look at them at a future date. Thank you, Commissioner Siebel. Okay, so next I'm going to move into commissioner reports. I would ask everyone to kind of keep them brief today since we have a loaded agenda. So Commissioner Tabor, you want to start?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In Region 1, there's several research projects that are underway. Talked a little bit about the Sanders County project. It hits the 1-year mark. FWP is monitoring 100 elk with GPS collars in hunting district 121 and getting a lot of incredibly helpful data out of that. They're also experimenting around with trail camera methods for estimating deer, elk, and black bear abundance. The CAC committee met in mid-November. A new mix, a new cast of characters, very active group. Had a great meeting breaking down, not only hearing about the proposals for the biennials, but also some other elements. And the bear conflict specialists all attended a meeting in Polson for the NCDE ecosystem subcommittee meeting. And although there have been a lot of bear conflicts in some of the other regions, there hasn't been as many in Region 1, remarkably so. But there's a lot of information floating around on bears. And with that, I will stand down. Thank you. And then also, I guess we got to report our meetings.
Yes.
Yeah.
With groups.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I met on a Zoom meeting with Wolves of the Rockies. I also met on several times, mostly individual phone calls with board members of the Montana Outfitters and Guides Association. Included in that were several members of the Montana Outfitters and Guides Association that called on their own behalf, whether they were speaking for MOGA or not, they didn't mention, but I just, felt that I should mention that I know that they were members of MOGA. And those are the only groups that I met with in this last
Okay.
go around.
From what I understand, it's just when you meet with groups. So I understand why you are disclosing it, but that's not one of our requirements. But Commissioner Lane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The hunting season Region 7 ended with a very high level of hunter satisfaction. Biological check station data indicated that the hunter numbers were slightly below average, most likely due to reduced antlerless mule deer opportunities, but buck numbers were solid. Whitetail bucks were abundant and exceptional in size and overall condition this year. Mule deer buck numbers were fair with good body and antler size as well. Region 7 enforcement conducted multiple check stations this hunting season as well, closing out the hunting season with an intensified check station in Webo. Larger numbers of residency fraud cases were discovered in hunters leaving the state for their respective out-of-state homes than usually are seen. The Region 7 wardens have seen an increase in these cases since the pandemic. Regarding staff notes, Brandy Scone, a non-game biologist, is taking a lateral transfer to the Region 4 non-game position. Brandy has been a great asset to the regional non-game program, establishing a standard monitoring for multiple bat species, establishing a strong monitoring program for the sage and grassland birds, and similar programs for the swift fox. We want to thank Brandy for making our regional program so robust. Also, the Region 7 Fisheries Program headed by Mike Backus was recently recognized by their peers at the Fisheries Division meeting for their long-term efforts in the Intake Fish Passage Project. This award recognized the Region 7 fish team's efforts in the interagency development of the Intake Fish Passageway and the crew's long-term efforts in monitoring fish use of the structure. I'd like to congratulate both the Region 7 fish crew and Ms. Scone in their achievements. I also personally was able to attend at the request of the Southeast Montana Livestock Association. They just wanted an update on what's going on in FWP and give them a quick update on what's going to take place this meeting today, as well as the Carter County stock growers. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Walsh.
Good morning, all. First, I wanted to apologize to any folks who've been trying to leave me a voicemail on either of my old or my new commission phone numbers. Of both of those numbers have been dysfunctional since the last commission meeting, and hopefully, as of 7 p.m. last night, those issues have been resolved. The mild weather in Region 4 and elsewhere influenced the end of season deer and elk harvest rates and has influenced bear activity in the region as well. Elk success numbers were down significantly, particularly in the latter part of the hunting season. With the mild weather, reports continue to be received about grizzly bears out on the landscape in Region 4. With the end of the general hunting season, there's also been an uptick in game damage complaints. Lion hunting and trapping in the region has been slow due to mild weather conditions as well. I'm happy to report that trout populations in the Missouri River below Holter are doing well, especially in the sections around Craig where numbers are at nearly record highs. The public notice for the problematic white bear fishing access site decision notice has now been released, and the project received approval for funding at least a portion of the proposed improvements. The staff of Region 4 is working to get information out regarding changes for the Smith River bonus system, the non-resident allocations, human waste pack out requirements, and the new SCAP machine. My only meeting with an outside group was 1 or 2 phone calls with Mac Menard of MOGA, who wanted to provide some feedback on Hunting District 417. One piece of that feedback has been captured in a amendment that we will be voting on later today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Brooke.
Thank you. I met with the Wolves of the Rockies on a Zoom meeting. I met with 3 staff members of the Greater Yellowstone Coalition about wolves, bears, and lions, and bison, and the Upper Yellowstone River Resource Group. There were several people at that meeting that were with other groups that I didn't specifically meet with, but I did meet with the entire group and gave them an update on commission. In Region 3, ungulate captures for research are beginning this week around the region. Bighorn sheep are being captured in the Highline Mountains to study the pneumonia. Elk are captured throughout the region to monitor the distribution of brucellosis. Grizzly bears are, the specialists are out monitoring them right now, flying every week. The majority of the bears are still out, and including sows with cubs who are typically the first to den. It speaks to the mild winter that we're experiencing. So if you're in bear country, still be aware and have your bear spray and be ready. Chronic wasting disease management hunt we approved last week in the Ruby Valley in Hunting District 322. The proposed hunt is supposed to start Friday, the 15th, and go to February 15th with two primary goals. First, to reduce the white-tailed deer population in the area with known high CWD prevalence. This initiative continues a successful 4-year effort to decrease the white-tailed deer density in the prevalence area. This year, during the 2023 hunting season, sample results from the proposed hunt area indicated that 71% of white-tailed does and 73% of bucks were positives of CWD. And additionally, 50% of the mule deer that were harvested tested positive for CWD. Both landowners and hunters are showing interest in this proposed management hunt. And that there's a lot going on, but I decided to just keep it short and focus on ungulates.
Thank you.
Ungulates, sorry.
Commissioner Burrows.
Madam Chair, good morning, everyone. 3 quick items out of Region 2. Unfortunately, back on CWD, we had the first harvested mule deer buck in 213 near Deer Lodge. It was the first CWD detection in Region 2. The region will continue to coordinate with the CWD team in developing monitoring strategy for the upcoming year. Shout out, after 39 and a half years of service, Sergeant Dan Curtins decided to retire in December, and we'd all like to thank him for his almost 4 decades of service down there. Lastly, fisheries will continue to coordinating with EPA, DEQ, and Natural Resource Damage Protection to gain more information regarding the trout fishery decline in the Upper Clark Fork. Coordinated and enhanced monitoring efforts are focused on channel construction during the Clark Fork reclamation on trout populations. And I met with 4 groups on November 28th. I met with via Zoom, the Park County Environmental Council, mostly just an introduction because I had met those folks and they hadn't met me. And we did have some discussion on wolf hunting around Yellowstone. On December 4th, we have an informal Bitterroot working group that consists of the Sportsmen for Fish Wildlife, Ravalli County Fish Wildlife Association, and the Mule Deer Foundation. We may tie some others into that, but we talked season setting, discussion on the both resident but mostly non-resident pressures on hunting season, and then generally about the quotas for season setting. I met with a handful of Bitterroot trappers. One was a member of the Foundation for Wildlife Management, and he did discuss the organization with me. We talked predator quota numbers and the possibility of FWP participating in some collaring data efforts financially. I think they're looking for that. I think they've got a program where they're talking about maybe trying to, instead of harvesting, collaring some of those trapped wolves to get information if the department's interested in coordinate with them on that. And lastly, on December 11th, again, another not formal meeting, but I met with the president of Wolves of the Rockies, Mark Cook, and we just talked generally. There wasn't a specific item there. So that's my update.
Thank you. Commissioner Siebel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Region 5, like everyone else, the game damage reports are way down thanks to the really mild weather and really good conditions and moisture we've had in our region. We did have a significant Canadian goose die off at the Laurel Pond from avian influenza, so it's something we're keeping our eye on the wildlife side. Fisheries, a lot going on there. Big habitat projects on the Musselshell River. Still continuing to work on review of permits for debris removal in Carbon and Stillwater County from the 22 flooding. And congratulations, there was 4 members of the team in Region 5 that were awarded by the department for the ongoing efforts to continue with those reviews, which are going to take some significant amount of time. On the enforcement side, the region hired Austin Kastner. He's congratulations to him. He's one of our new wardens. I think he just graduated from the academy just a few weeks ago. He'll be in the Big Timber District for Region 5, so we're excited to have him on board. And enforcement's busy like everyone else after the hunting season, continuing on with shoulder seasons right now and bird season, but pursuing several cases, with some of the larger cases being from California, Texas, Pennsylvania, Washington, and Tennessee. And every time I see that, it makes me happy to know that people that, even out of staters, I mean, we'll track you down if you break the law. So I'm proud of our enforcement for that. On the staff and human resources side, I want to congratulate Pam Kaiser. She's been in our region for a long time. She's helped thousands of hunters and fishermen and landowners, and she's retiring at the end of this year. So congratulations to Pam. Thanks for all your years of service. Then finally, the Region 5 CAC will be actually meeting next week on Tuesday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Region 5 office in Billings. And last but not least, my since the last meeting, my only official call with someone in official capacity was a call with MOGIT to discuss some of their proposed the ideas that they have for proposed amendments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. For Region 6, I have a short report. The deer numbers in Region 6 have definitely been a subject of discussion. And Havercheck Station closed for the season. And this report actually is from 2 weeks ago, so it's a little bit behind. But the results showed that hunter numbers were up 15%, but ungulate harvest was average to below average, and bird harvest was above average. The postseason mule deer surveys will be done in the coming weeks, so soon. In the offices, they did have hunters come into the office and report lower deer numbers in the region. With deer also, there's been very little activity in the Havre urban deer hunt that we approved. No licenses at the time, 2 weeks ago, no licenses were sold, and the hunt does go until February 15th. So they're hoping that activity does pick up on the Havre deer plan. The wardens continue to work on cases from the season and noticed a shifting of hunter pressure due to deer numbers and access opportunities. In Region 6, secured funding through Northwestern Energy to conduct snag and release survival for paddlefish on the Upper Missouri starting in 2024, running through 2026. So that kind of wraps up my Region 6 report. I did not meet with any groups since the last meeting. I did attend the season setting meeting via Zoom that was held in Glasgow, and I had close to a 2-hour call with our regional supervisor and our regional wildlife specialist, Scott Thompson and Drew Henry, to just discuss what we have on the agenda today and just kind of everything in the region. Several individual calls, but no groups. And so that wraps it up. Director, if you'd like to give a report.
Just very quickly, Madam Chair, a bit of an announcement. The upland game bird regulations that were previously on this agenda have been moved to the next commission meeting. And along those lines, there's a lot of interest and conversation about both the upland game bird plan and the regulations, particularly in Northeast Montana. So we've committed to some conversations out there in Northeast Montana regarding upland bird before the next commission meeting. And then I would like to thank the commission, our staff, and the land board for the approval of the North Wildcat WMA acquisition. This body approved that acquisition in October. It cleared the Board of Land Commissioners late last month. So that's 328 acres of newly available public land that we should close on next month. So that's exciting for us. And thank you to everybody who worked on that project, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you. Okay, next do you have the dates in front of you, the proposed dates for our 2024 board meetings? Is there any discussion on those dates?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Walsh.
I provided my feedback to Eric. I had at least one conflict, and I don't see the dates in our package.
I will move that down the agenda. Could you get copies of the dates for us, please?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right. You may have to remind me, we got a lot on the agenda, so we're going to jump into legal.
Yes, Madam Chair. Sarah Clergett, legal counsel for the commission. And my presentation is on the petitions for rulemaking. There were 3 of them from Wolves of the Rockies at the end of the last commission meeting. And overall, I want to make the commission aware that the commission does not have the authority. We've talked about this in our council sessions, that the commission does not have the legal authority to act on any of these petitions. And I'll go through them one by one and let you know the authority for that. So first, there is the commission proposed rulemaking on new rule 1 for wolf management stamps that would be controlled by 87-1-201 subsection 3. And that's the authority of the department on allocations and spending in general. And then also with respect to wolves, particularly, there's 2 statutes, 87-1-623 and 87-1-625, which govern how wolf money can be spent specifically, stated from the legislature. And therefore, the commission has no authority to act on this petition. Moving to the second one, which is new rule 1 for the Wolf Management Advisory Council. We've talked about this at prior meetings, but this is under the exclusive control of the department, which and the basis for that is 87-1-201-10A. And therefore, the commission has no authority to direct the department on how to facilitate its management plan for wolves. And then the third one is new rule 1, the wolf population calculations relating to IPOM. And again, here the department has the authority to determine how it counts wolves and how it implements the directives given from this commission on the giving the population estimates. And again, the authority for that is 87-1-201-10A. So Madam Chair, you have no authority on these 3, and therefore the proposed motion, which I will share right now, is that you deny the petitions, and hopefully everybody can see that. There you go. We're trying out this new system where I post the motions as they come in and I can change them as they come in. And that way everybody can be clear on what the motions are, both the public and the commissioners. So,
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Siebel?
are you open for a motion?
Could I just want one more clarification. Could you just kind of give a little bit of an overview of just high level, what can come to us and what we can't do?
absolutely, Madam Chair. So the commission has specific rulemaking authority that's designated to it by the legislature. Sometimes that's commission rulemaking authority, and then there's separate rulemaking authority designated to the department. So the commission can only make rules under the authority granted by the legislature. And if that authority has not been granted, then the commission has no authority to make rules in those instances. So when a petition comes to you, it has to be, and it should be noted under what authority the petition's asking for you to make the rules. And if for some reason the petition doesn't do that, I'm always happy to answer that question for you guys, if that's unclear.
Okay, so I think I will give Mr. Cook a little bit of time to, and it's not really to present them because we don't have authority, but I will give you some time before we get a motion on it, if you would like to speak to the commission on the petition.
Madam Chair.
Okay, yes.
Just one quick question, Sarah. I was looking at some of the past action that happened on the wolf stamp, and it looked to me like the department had been involved in almost a draft MOU that came to pass. And so was that authorized by the legislature?
I apologize, Madam Chair, Commissioner, I'm not sure exactly what you're referring to when you say that.
There's the draft MOU that there was like 7 NGO groups that had come to an agreement on language for a wolf stamp. It wasn't just a wolf stamp. It was like a wildlife stamp. And the department had been involved in that. And I was just wondering, had they been directed by the legislature to do that, or would that have gone to the legislature?
So in some instances, for example, the migratory bird stamp is the best example I can give you. That did come from a legislative designation. The other wolf stamp that you're talking about was before my time, but my understanding, and hopefully one of these two can correct me if I'm wrong, is that when we looked at that subsequently, the determination was that there was not designation from the legislature.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Sarah, thank you for the opportunity to speak. We would like to, with the approval of the chair, we're going to reserve the right to comment until we talk to our legal team. Thank you.
Okay. Are you withdrawing your petitions?
On all three of them.
All three of them?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. So no motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, you do not need to make a motion.
Okay. Okay, we're going to move into the wolf farm then.
And Madam Chair, for this, overview is as you guys know, there are two options here for you. Well, three options really. The first option is we've given you the proposed language for the wolf rule based on the changes here, based on, and this is true, sorry, I'm overviewing for all of the rules that you're going to hear. Any changes that you see in the rules are a result of the public comments. And you guys in your packets have also seen all of the public comments that came in on these rules. And so with each rule that you look at, you have an option to abandon the rule, essentially to say that you don't want to move forward with it at all. You can adopt the rule as presented by the department, or you can essentially redline, modify the rule based on your reading of the comments, or you think that the any changes that the department has made don't reflect what you want to see in the rule. So those are your three options going forward. And I'm going to cede any specific questions on the rule language as it is to co-counsel Alex Scolvino, who's here, and he's been writing it all along and reviewing the comments. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any questions before we go out for public comment? Oh, I do need a motion, I guess. But any questions before I take a motion?
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Siebel?
I move that the Fish and Wildlife Commission adopt as final the department's proposed draft rule language addressing amendments to ARM 12.9.1303 as presented by the department.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second it.
Okay. Seconded by Commissioner Lane. Okay, any other questions or clarifications? Okay, I'm going to open it up, but just a reminder, 2-minute time limit. So if there is someone here that would like to speak to the wolf farm. Go ahead, step forward.
Good morning, Chair Robinson and Commissioners. My name is Jessica Cargella. I live in Florence, Montana, and I'm here today to speak on behalf of Footloose, Montana. Setting a goal to reach the minimum number of wolves allowable by the federal government set forth by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services of 15 breeding pairs and at least 150 wolves in midwinter seems arbitrary at best. As keystone species and an apex predator, wolves are essential to balanced and thriving ecosystems, and reintroduction of the wolves in the GYE has revitalized the landscape and led to increased biodiversity, bringing back healthy, more abundant waters and restoration of birds, fish, and small mammals. FWP's mission: steward the fish, wildlife, parks, and recreational resources for the public now and into the future. Yet with the new wolf plan, FWP seems to only consider hunters, trappers, and landowners while excluding the rest of us, perhaps the majority of us, the non-consumptive public. Wildlife management based on lethal means that views hunting and trapping as conservation is neither based in science nor does it abide by public trust doctrine. You cannot argue that livestock depredation is the reason. Lambing, calving, weather, unknown malady, and respiratory causes cause most livestock loss, while depredation only accounts for 0.04% of livestock loss, less than 1%. And when ranchers are reimbursed at a rate of 175% of current market value by the state and federal government, it's not really an argument. The new wolf plan, based on the IPOM, a model that one could argue is based on simulation, and as such is not a model based on best available science. To quote Thomas Reike, simulation results indicate that even minor violations of model assumptions can yield substantial error in estimates of additional parameters. If you can't accurately determine the number of wolves in Montana, if breeding pairs cannot be identified with certainty, if you do not factor for other human causes of mortality and climate-based causes of mortality of wolves, how can you base the new wolf plan on 15 breeding pairs and 150 wolves in midwinter?
Oh,
You bet. If breeding pairs cannot be identified with certainty, if you do not factor other human causes of mortality and climate-based causes of mortality of wolves, how can you base the new wolf plan on 15 breeding pairs and 150 wolves in midwinter? As written, the new wolf plan could lead to the devastation of wolves in Montana. We ask that the commission please abandon what appears to be a race to the bottom and develop a plan that's based on best available science and that supports wolves and other wildlife by ensuring their healthy survival and thriving, along with habitat protection, connectivity, corridors, etc., and wide use of non-lethal methods to help with human-wolf conflicts. Thank you.
thank you.
Good morning, Chair Robinson and Commissioners. My name is Savannah Johnston from Butte, and I'm here today representing Footloose, Montana. I appreciate the opportunity to speak here today concerning gray wolf control methods. At the core of Footloose, Montana's advocacy is a commitment to ethical and science-based wildlife management. We recognize the crucial ecological role that wolves as a keystone species play in shaping Montana's delicate ecosystem. The proposed strategy advocating the killing of hundreds of wolves to maintain a predetermined floor-level population is fundamentally at odds with the principles of the North American model of wildlife conservation. This set of principles, designed to guide wildlife management and conservation decisions in our country, urges us to reconsider the approach being considered. While the IPOM method earns acknowledgement for its credibility in estimating distribution of wolves, its limitations as an abundance estimator are apparent. To responsibly manage a high-profile predator like the gray wolf, we advocate for more accurate population estimates derived from reliable methods. Allocating resources for additional data, including recaptures of marked individuals to estimate detection probabilities, is not just beneficial, but imperative. Only through direct monitoring of wolves can we obtain the dependable estimates necessary to assess the repercussions for wolf populations in the Northern Rockies. The IPOM method reveals critical flaws, particularly in its inability to adapt to changing conditions on the ground. Shifting habitat, human-induced mortality, climate change, and predator-prey dynamics, for example. Additionally, we stress the crucial need to integrate values and ethics into wildlife management policies alongside the scientific considerations. The harmony between ethical principles and scientific accuracy is vital for the well-being of all of our wildlife. In conclusion, we cannot endorse the draft wolf management plan as it's presented. Our commitment lies in supporting wolf management rooted in science and ethics, steered by the expertise of wildlife professionals rather than political influences.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair and fellow commissioners, I'm Jeff Darrah, D-A-R-R-A-H. I'm the Executive Director of Montana Sportsman for Fish and Wildlife. I'd like to voice our support for the department's amendments to the ARM rule and ask that the commission adopt them. Thank you.
Thank you. Further commenters? Do we have anyone in the regional offices who would like to comment I can't see the regional offices, so,
Madam Chair, there are no comments from the regional offices.
okay, thank you. All right, do we have anyone online who would like to comment?
Madam Chair, we have commenters online. I'd like to ask them to please raise their hand. I will let them in at your pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Okay, go ahead with
Mr. Sam Moore.
Hi, guys. Just had a couple quick comments and some questions for you guys really quickly. I wanted to know what your goal is with the wolf plan. Like, I read through the entire plan 2 times, and it looks like you are managing for the lowest number of wolves possible to avoid a delisting. Also, cattle deaths, according to your data, there was 58 out of 2.2 million cattle, which comes out to 0.0026% from wolves. Also, it looks like the elk numbers in 1995 at the start of the reintroduction was 95,000, and the most recent study shows 140,000 elk. They're on the ground in the state. So I want to know what the goals are, because I thought those were the 2 main things that they were doing to say that you needed to try to keep the numbers low, because it's just not lining up with what the real data is. So it seems highly political at this point. So I want some answers on that. Thanks, guys.
just a reminder that we are not talking about the wolf plan. We are talking about the wolf arm. And so if your comments could please speak to the motion that's on the table.
Good morning, commissioners. My name's Kim Bean. I'm with Wolves of the Rockies. We continue to hear that the non-consumptive community needs to help pay for conservation. We agree, and we continue to knock at that door. We continue to write checks that you refuse to accept, and it is time that you acknowledge we are here. We are the majority on the landscape, and we have a stake in this. We want to help fund good non-lethal management for our wildlife. We want to continue to go forward. This is not part of your agenda. We also, along with our money, our voices, and our input on the wolves need to be more than mere comments that are accepted. We need to be heard and acknowledged as part of that. You do it for other animals, you need to be doing that for wolves. Counts are essential and needed for the ability to manage any wildlife, for the viability and the health of these species. FWB personnel has stated numerous times they do not know how many wolves are on the landscape. The biologists continue to state they do not have the feet on the ground that they need to create such a count. How can you possibly state the need to kill to a ceiling? I don't care what anybody keeps trying to say, it's not in the plan or in the statements, to 450 wolves. That is a ceiling. While you continue to use data from almost a decade ago to estimate these numbers of wolves in your IPOM, you continue to mislead the public for the purpose of special interests. You need to change what you're doing going forward. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Okay, Glenn. Yep. Go.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to let me speak. As others have mentioned, I feel like the wolf farm is outdated and is just sort of going back to, nothing new. The wolf numbers being killed is just way too high. Depredation is a minimal concern, and hunter opportunity should not be the priority. There's been several reports that elk is way over objective and farmers are actually wanting more elk killed, yet you're still killing more wolves and wolves eat elk. So the other thing, as everybody else has said, you shouldn't be managing to a minimum amount. That's a number that you guys are using, and it's not correct. Killing this many wolves is going to eventually put them back in extinction, and that should be considered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Derek Goldman.
Goldman with the Endangered Species Coalition. I'm calling in from Missoula. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. I just wanted to comment on the ARM here. I'm a little confused as to the necessity of the changes being proposed here by the ARM, especially given the fact that the new draft wolf management plan is titled, except for the date of the year, it's entitled the same thing as the one referenced in the previous ARM. So I don't understand what the need is for the change. And it raises the question whether or not the wolf plan, whichever one we end up using, is intended to guide wolf management in the state or not, if it's not referenced in the ARM. So I would encourage the commission to keep reference to the wolf management plan in this ARM. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have Carolyn. If Carolyn could please state your last name and spell it for the record, please.
My name is Carolyn Hall, Hall. I live in Whitefish. Good morning, Commissioner Robinson and the rest of the commissioners. I am calling in because I'm against the wolf farm. It's not based on science. It's based on political agenda and special groups. It does not represent the non-consumptive community. We've basically been silenced. So I'm just going to keep it short to those points, since everybody else has basically made the points that I was already going to state.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have KCYORK. If you could please state your first name and last name and spell it for the record. Thank you.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. This is Casey York, YORK, with Stratford, Montana, out of the Bitterroot. With the ongoing wolf arm hearings, some we knew about, some we did not, it would have been really helpful to state and explain this one for everyone. Despite the added use of baiting, snaring, night hunting, bounties, and a 6-month wolf season to ease and unethically enable killing many more wolves, why are fewer wolves being reported killed since the inception of these aggressive regulations? Recent research says IPOM overestimated our wolf population by 2.5 times. The department disagrees with this possible reason, but that study indicates we may have less than 500 wolves left. What if that study is right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Trish Marie.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you for listening to our comments. I was going to comment on the wolf petitions, but seeing as they've been withdrawn for the time being, I'll comment on the ARM. My home state is Michigan, although I am a visitor to Montana. And in Michigan, Michigan's UP has successfully supported 650 wolves for over 12 years. A population that has remained stable, neither growing nor decreasing much, with no wolf hunt in all that time. Montana has much more prime wolf habitat and prime wildlife habitat than all of Michigan, much less just our upper half, and you want 200 fewer wolves. That doesn't really make sense to me. Given the surging money spent by non-consumptive users, it's really time that the non-consumptive users are given a voice and our money is accepted when offered, such as through the wolf stamp. This is short-sighted, to say the least, to drive your wolf population down to the lowest minimum you possibly can. And in a world of crashing biodiversity and with diseases such as CWD on the landscape, which science is beginning to indicate wolves could successfully control or at least make a dent in, protecting your wolves rather than driving your population down as much as possible would seem to be the wiser and more scientific course. And that's my statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have Helena. If you could please state your name and spell your last name. Thank you.
Helena Edelson, Edelson. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good morning, Director, Chair Robinson, and Commissioners. I'm Helena Edelson from the Large Carnivore Fund in Gardner, Montana. Thank you for the opportunity to comment on the ARM. We did submit our comments. I see that they're posted under the agenda item. Speaking only to the wolf ARM itself, we support everything basically that Derek from the Endangered Species Coalition mentioned. And I also see that most of our submitted questions were answered by the commission. So I just wanted to thank you all for that. And those are my comments.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I see no more speakers online. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I asked them already. Yep. Are there any questions or comments from the commission? You know what? Did we have a motion before I went out? Okay. Oh, yes, we did. Sorry. Getting off to a roll here. No questions or comments? All right. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, Brinkman Game Reserve.
Madam Chair, this is the result of the June 2023 meeting when the commission authorized FWP to file the amended rule notice. As you've seen, it's in your packet. Your options are the same as they were for the other rules.
Commissioner Walsh.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I move the Fish and Wildlife Commission repeal Rule 12.9.202, abolishing the Brinkman Game Preserve.
Second.
Second the motion.
Okay. Commissioner Walsh and seconded by Commissioner Brooke. Any questions before I go out for comments? Is there someone here from that carried the? Okay. All right. Anyone present who would like to comment? Is there anyone in the regional offices who would like to comment on this?
Madam Chair, I see no comments from the regional offices.
Okay. Is there anyone with their hands raised?
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask attendees on Zoom to please raise their hand if they wish to comment at the matter at hand. There's no comment online, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. I guess we will go to a vote. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll move next to the grizzly bear arm.
Madam Chair, this is the result of the comments. This is on the agenda as a result of the comments that you received. And as in your packet, there have been a few changes, as you can see, to the proposed rule based on those comments. And you have the language in front of you. The options remain the same. You can adopt as proposed. You can redline, or you can decide not to adopt, and I'll cede any questions that you have on the substance to Mr. Scolavino.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions from the commission? I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move the Fish and Wildlife Commission to adopt as final the new rules of the amendments to ARM 12.9.1401 as presented by the department.
I'll second.
Second.
Okay, I have was it Commissioner Burrows? Did you say? Okay, Commissioner Burrows seconding it. Okay, any other questions or comments before I go out to the public? All right, I'll open it up for anyone present who would like to comment on the grizzly arm.
Morning.
Madam Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Jeff Lucas, spelled Lukas, representing the Montana Wildlife Federation, delivering comments on behalf of our board. MWF is disappointed that the commission chose to ignore our comments on this foundational statement in this arm. Quote, sport hunting is considered the most desirable method of balancing grizzly bear numbers with their available habitat, minimizing depredations against private property within or adjacent to grizzly bear habitat, and minimizing grizzly bear attacks on humans, end quote. None of these statements are true. In our comment letter on November 12th, we cite the science that refutes these statements, but it appears that FWP has dismissed our comments and has ignored the science. Now FWP is producing a grizzly bear arm that is biologically incorrect and it misleads the public. The rest of the arm deals with an implementation of SB 295 to sanction permitted killing of grizzly bears. We objected to this bill when it was heard before the legislature. MWF's many concerns about implementing this bill into this arm are detailed in our 8-page comment letter on November 12th. This arm will be another serious barrier to ever delisting grizzly bears in Montana because it weakens the adequate mortality regulatory mechanisms that are necessary to delist. Giving permits to folks who feel that their livestock or they are threatened by grizzly bears will result in more dead grizzly bears and solve very few problems. This is an ineffective way to manage grizzly bears. Thank you for the opportunity to testify about this arm.
Thank you. Any further commenters? Okay. Is there anyone in the regional offices who would like to comment on the grizzly bear arm?
Madam Chair, I have no comments from the regional offices.
Okay. Okay, go ahead with the people that have their hands raised, please.
Madam Chair, Carly Johnson.
Go ahead.
Morning, my name is Carly Johnson. I'm with the Montana Farm Bureau Federation. Thank you for the opportunity to comment. Montana Farm Bureau is the largest general ag organization in the state, and grizzly bear delisting has been a priority to us. We appreciate the commission's efforts and times to take our public comment and consider those. Although there were still a few changes that we would have preferred, we feel that this is a reasonable compromise between a healthy grizzly bear population and being able to safely ranch and live on the landscape. So we would support the rule moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Derek Goldman.
Hi, Derek Goldman, Endangered Species Coalition, calling in from Missoula. I agree with the comments from the Federation previously, referencing sport hunting. And I also want to add, it's clear from looking at the revised draft that the department did, in fact, review a lot of our comments and make some changes, and we appreciate that consideration. We do remain strongly opposed to the application of SB 295 on public land. We recognize that sometimes a habituated grizzly bear on private land, on a landowner's own land, may require lethal control to provide public safety. But on public land, that is grizzly bear habitat. And we think not only does this pose a safety hazard for the public, because it's more than likely that a grizzly bear attempted to be taken under SB 295 will be wounded, but it's also inappropriate because that is primarily public land and that belongs to the public and wildlife, not to livestock. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have Daryl. If you could please state your first and last name and spell your last name. Thank you.
Okay, still muted. *6 to unmute if you're on a phone.
Madam Chair, I will if we can move to the next, he appears to be to not mute.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I have Carolyn. If you could please unmute and give us your first and spell your last name. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Carolyn. Last name is Hall, Hall. I am a resident of Whitefish. Good morning, Commissioner Robinson and commissioners. I am strongly against the grizzly bear arm. It's not based on science, just like the wolf arm is not based on science. It's based solely on political agenda and only represents a small segment of Montanans. We really all should have a voice in this, and we're not, and we don't. I completely agree with the comments from the Endangered Species Coalition. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have Helena. If you please state your first and last name and spell for the record.
Helena Edelson, Edelson. Good morning, Director, Chair Robinson, and Commissioners. Helena Edelson, representing Large Carnivore Fund based in Gardner, Montana. I just wanted to note that Large Carnivore Fund does represent ranching stakeholders as well. So this one was tough, but we recommend the Commission not adopt the rules and proposed amendments to the ARM and not initiate the formal map or rulemaking process, allowing the killing of grizzlies deemed threatening on public lands where ranchers have grazing leases leaves too much room for misinterpretation and abuse. The term threatening is not defined, and for some people, the mere presence of a grizzly may seem threatening, and this could prevent much needed expansion and connectivity between existing grizzly populations. The rules emphasize the killing of grizzlies as a first immediate response instead of as a last resort, and the Commission should instead focus on conflict reduction strategies. And for the above reasons as well, we do not support SB 295. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have Casey. If you could please spell your first and last name.
Casey, initials KC, YORK, with Trap-Free Montana out of the Bitterroot. Madam Chair, Commissioners, after multiple hearings on the grizzly arms and overwhelming opposing public comments, there's been some improvement, but it doesn't go near far enough, such as the sport hunting of grizzlies emphasis, the failure to address the risks of trapping and snaring of grizzlies, and the lethal response allowance for the vague use of the word threat, including for livestock on public lands. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Cecilia Mink.
Okay, go ahead.
Good morning, Chair Robinson, Commission. My name is Cecilia Mink, and I am from the Flathead Valley. I am very firmly against the grizzly arm rule in any form whatsoever. Again, this information that you have is not based on science and is only based on what special interests want, and it is not based on the general public's wants and desires, whether it be for public participation or not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, there are no more commenters online.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the Commission before we go to a vote? Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Eric, if you could get those dates to all of us, that'd be great. And then I'll go ahead and go to fisheries, and then we'll go back to the dates.
Chair, members of the Commission, for the record, Eileen Rice, RYCE, Fisheries Division Administrator. Fisheries has one short item for you today. It is a fish removal project on Kelly Reservoir.
which is a private reservoir near Shodo in Region 4. As you're all aware, we bring these removal projects to you for a 4-year period on a list. And then in between times, we bring them up on an as-needed emergency basis. So recently, this rainbow trout fishery, which is stocked by the department, it's a private reservoir stocked by the department because it's part of our private pond public access program. Recently, during our standardized sampling, we found an illegally introduced population of walleye, which is threatening the trout fishery. So our proposal is to use either mechanical or chemical or a combination of both to remove the walleye in order to preserve the trout fishery. If approved by the commission, we will start the environmental assessment process and then hopefully do the removal effort sometime next year. And then after the removal, we will reinitiate the trout stocking for the fishery. So with that, the department's recommendation is to approve the removal of walleye from Kelly Reservoir.
Are there any questions? Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
Madam Chair,
Go ahead, Commissioner Rook.
I move the Fish and Wildlife Commission approve the Kelly Reservoir illegal fish introduction removal project.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Burrows. Okay, is there anyone present who would like to speak to the motion? Okay, is there anyone in the regional offices who would like to speak to the motion?
Madam Chair, I have no comment from the regional offices.
Okay, anyone with their hands raised?
Madam Chair, I have no hands raised online.
Okay, one last chance for any comments or questions. Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was an easy day for you today. I think we'll go back to the dates. If you, Commissioner Walsh, I saw it, but I can't remember what your conflict was.
I've got a couple of them. One is during the week of February 16th, I've got commitments to the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation between February 10th and February 25th. If we can move outside of those boundaries, that would be great. And then October 17th, I had to cancel my Steelhead Week this year due to that conflict. I hope we can move outside of that week to the following or previous week.
The following week, I do have some conflicts, but I guess it's more of a question for the FWP staff because we do have to fit our meetings within kind of deadline dates for you. So how much leeway do we have? Anyone?
Thank you, Chair. I'd start with a general response. As long as we have a heads up that this setting for the year is in place, represents, we can typically move around, adjust on our side, the deadlines and process pieces that we need to engage.
Okay.
Chair Robinson, I might add that February 16th is the Friday before President's Day weekend. It doesn't affect me, but I'm sure it affects others.
Okay. So what is your recommendation for the February date?
I can do anything outside the dates of February 10th to 25th.
Chair?
Okay. I don't know who's talking.
I'm sorry. So I know there's, if I may, focused on February, I would raise 2 points, and I'd look to the point that the director raised on upland game bird coming back to the commission. And there's something on both ends of that meeting. There is public engagement, and then there is printing for spring turkey. So with your tolerance, I'd look to Brian Wakeling, Chair, to help us measure what side of that date range would be better, given those two drivers, one on each side of the meeting itself? Chair, thank you for your tolerance.
Right. I mean, if we did it the week before the 10th, like the 7th.
Madam Chair, for the publication dates for the spring regs that with Upland, that would work better.
Okay.
So Madam Chair, with that date change, I'm not available the 3rd to the 10th, so.
Okay.
Same with me, Madam Chair.
Okay. So I think honestly, I think we probably better just keep it on the 16th, because we either lose one or we lose two. Okay. What about the October date? Was that the date, the other one conflict, Commissioner Walsh?
Yes.
What's your recommendation on that one?
Okay, for me, I'd prefer October 24th or October 10th.
Okay. I kind of would rather have like October 10th. What?
That would be the 24th is should be opening a rifle there. Somewhere thereabouts. With pushing it Thursday before, so I'd rather go the 10th if we could.
Any other conflicts? Okay. Okay, if I remember correctly, Commissioner Lane, you had said you had a conflict with the August meeting, but I'm assuming that's probably your fair. So I think, go ahead.
Rather than try and muddy the dates there. I mean, if I can either attempt to do it via Zoom or just accept an absence.
Okay. We'll play it by ear and see what's on the agenda. I think we'll just leave it there. So what we have is, oh, go ahead. Is there another comment?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a conflict with April 18th, and my alternative dates I'm available are the 11th, 17th, or 25th.
Okay. I think we probably need to move it up. I think I have a conflict going later in the month, so April 11th.
Or the 17th, I could do the day before as well, if that works for everyone.
Okay, let's just do the 17th. Which is kind of in line with the rest of the dates, so.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Lane?
Did we move the October date to the 10th?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so February 16th, April 17th, June 20th, August 16th, October 10th, and December 19th. Do we need a motion for that? Okay. Those are the tentative, go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair, you do need a motion.
We do need a motion.
Yes.
Okay, I would entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I move to accept the dates as presented.
Okay, Commissioner Lane? Is there a second? Commissioner?
Second.
Okay. There's this motion and a second. Last chance. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. All right, we're going to move into the wildlife. We'll start out with bighorn sheep. Okay, I'm just going to, just so all the commissioners know on these, I would like, I know there's some amendments on some of them, but I would like an initial motion to accept it as presented, and then we will do amendments and vote on those amendments before we go out as a whole. So if you have any questions, just ask, but that's what we'll do for the procedure today. Okay, Brian?
Very good. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. I've got a little bit of stuff kind of spread out here, so if you don't mind, I'll just try to present from here. So just a real quick overview that I'd like to provide for all of the kind of the different species that we'll be treating today. Just, you know, the way we kind of approached it this year was a little bit different than what we've done in the past. What we tried to do was use the comments and the feedback that we'd received, which is not uncommon. We routinely do that, but we try to really more formalize that approach this year. And in doing so, what that allowed us to do was take that initial information out to the public in June and July. And at that point in time, what we tried to share were concepts that we were considering for formulation of proposals later in the year. We held 34 different public meetings. We had pretty good attendance at some and not as really great at others, but we did try to get around the state to try to get as much input as we could. After that, we refined our proposals or our concepts into proposals. Some of the concepts that we had floated, we wound up deleting from further consideration. Others we amended, and in some instances, we even added a few. And that is how we wound up developing the set of recommendations that we have before you. We did have another set of meetings, one in each region that was also virtually, you could attend virtually. We specifically had those on different dates. Just to give the public an opportunity to reach out and kind of ask questions about our proposals and help them understand what it was we were proposing. I'd also like to talk just real briefly, because I think a lot of times the public can be confused when the commission offers amendments. That has always been something the commission has had the authority to do and can do so today. It's really beneficial, I think, to both to the public and to the department when the commission has the opportunity to offer those amendments early. In that approach, the department has a chance to formulate a response. Sometimes there's unintended consequences with an amendment that can be challenging to address on the floor, and certainly doesn't limit the commission's authority to offer additional amendments as a result of public input they may receive today. But it really helps the department, and I think it helps the public see those amendments, and that gives them a chance to prepare for today and also share other comments with the commissioners. So the department really values it. I personally do. And when we get to those amendments, you know, the department has already prepared responses to those. The commission has those available. And I'll wait for the commission before I respond any further on any of those. And with that, I'll just move into the bighorn sheep. And on each of these, there's a cover sheet, and behind the cover sheet is a kind of the general season dates, and then goes through a summary of proposed changes. Now, what we had done prior years is we would give you a set of season dates, and then some of those season dates wouldn't always line up. There's some variation within that. So what we've tried to do this year is also provide a draft set of regulations with a mock-up that highlights the changes, underlines insertions, and draws a line through anything that's deleted. And so anything that is not addressed in that fashion within the mock regulations, those are the documents that we're using to really carry forward and be sure that we're all talking about the same thing. That's what we're asking the commission to approve. For convenience, the season dates are lined out there, and there's also a summary of proposed changes. Below that, there are some hunting district boundary changes, and in some cases, there's some regulation changes that the department is proposing. And those are underlined and strike out, and those are the ones that we're asking the commission to approve specifically. So the specific approvals will be on the regulations, the mock regulations, and the mock-up underline and strike through within the supplementary information. So just a real quick summary of the proposed changes on bighorn sheep. Looking for a change in quotas in just a couple of areas. And sometimes that results in a recommendation for a closure, or in some cases, an opening of a season. When we do that, we also have to identify the boundaries of that hunting district. And so you'll see some hunting districts being eliminated, some being added in some cases, some amendments. So there's a couple of reopenings and one boundary just a change to just kind of clean things up. There is one boundary change and one amendment that's in here that as a result of an amendment will, if adopted, would be removed. And so we tried to point that out in the amendment in our response to that. With that, I'll conclude my comments on bighorn sheep and certainly be willing to respond to any questions.
Commissioner Burrows.
I was just going to make a motion.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I move the Fish Wildlife Commission vote to approve changes identified in the bighorn sheep regulation mock-up to include opportunities, season dates, quotas, and quota ranges as presented by the department, and all other bighorn sheep regulations contained in the 2023 regulations, except for those affected by regular calendar rotation, unless addressed in some other proposal to be adopted for the 2024 and 2025 bighorn sheep hunting seasons and districts.
I second.
Okay. Seconded by Commissioner Brooke. Okay.
Madam Chair,
Okay.
just a comment, the 4 changes for Region 3. I had a lot of people contacted me about those and everybody is in support of them. So I urge passage of this.
Thank you. I am going to go ask for the amendments in the order that they are in my binder. So Commissioner Burrows, you are up first.
So Madam Chair, there was a department proposal to close the 250 unit for bighorn sheep. I had a discussion with the single tag holder in 250 and the biologist there. The recommendation, I believe, and I've spoke to her about it. The bigger concern was not necessarily biological, but more the concern of with that being a, once in a lifetime type tag, having somebody draw that tag and then not be able to harvest a ram that they thought was worthy of that. After talking with the single tag holder, they had a great experience there, got into quite a few bighorn sheep up there. We know we have a predator problem up there, but after discussion with the biologist, we think it's still reasonable to keep that tag in there. And the discussion was, right now it's an either sex sheep tag, changing that to any ram tag and not allowing that ewe harvest in there. So with that, I would move the Fish and Wildlife Commission adopt a quota of 1 opportunity, any ram in hunting district 250 West Fork of the Bitterroot, with a quota range of 1 to 3, with the archery season September 7th to 14th and general season September 15th to December 1st.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Commissioner Siebel. Okay, we're gonna take these one by one and Sarah, quick question. I don't have to go up for public comment until we come up with a final. I mean, we can do the amendments internally.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to take these one by one. Any questions or comments from anyone on this amendment by Commissioner Burrows?
Madam Chair.
Okay.
Apologize. If I may, the one point in our response to this, and it also would, if to carry forward with that, one of our recommendations is to do away with the hunting district 250. So in order to make that complete, would recommend rescinding that deletion and keeping hunting district 250.
Would you do that as a friendly amendment, Commissioner Burrows?
I would, yes.
Okay, Commissioner Brooke, you okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
I seconded it. It's fine.
Oh, you seconded it. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm good with
Well, I have Commissioner Brooke written down. Wait a minute. That was the original. Sorry. Okay. And you're okay with it, Commissioner Siebel?
Yes, I am, Madam Chair.
Okay. Any questions before I go to a vote? All those in favor of the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Okay, so next we have Commissioner Tabor's amendment.
So, Madam Chair, before I actually make any proposed motion, I want to just give a little background. So I got contacted by several people, in particular the people that are very focused on providing hunts and or hunt as individuals in the unlimited districts, the unlimited sheep districts. And the concern that was voiced was threefold. First of all, there appears to be, as a result of the new technology and everything, as well as blogs and other mechanisms, a public that seems to know how to game the system and prolong reporting. And the end result of that is going over quota in some of these districts. So that was one issue that was identified. The second issue was the seemingly inconsistency that if you go for an unlimited sheep license, that you can also buy bonus points to accrue in order to go for a limited sheep permit in any of the other districts. So there was concern over that. And then lastly is that somehow or another, those points would not go away if in fact you got an unlimited sheep permit. You could go hunt, but you'd still have all your points. So I reached out to the department to make the amendment, and it winds up that there's some pretty specific legal issues relative to the unique way that the licenses are articulated in Title 87 and as well as the ARM. And so what I've wanted to do and what we are allowed to do as commissioners, kind of similar to something similar, is I think have some restrictions. And so does everybody have the benefit of the department's response? Has the public been able to see that as well? So I'm still a little clear, and I did have one last conversation with legal counsel, but I can honestly say I'm still a little foggy. I believe that trying to do anything with regards to having a waiting period, I can't do. It's not within the authority of the commission. But the second piece is the bonus point part. And Sarah or Brian, maybe you can answer the question. Is that also beyond the scope of what the commission can or can't do in terms of an amendment?
Madam Chair, Commissioner, Vice Chair Tabor, my understanding is the bonus points are within your purview. I would defer to legal counsel on that.
I apologize. I didn't have this broken out. Give me 1 second here. So, Madam Chair, given the different authorities, the commission has two options related to how the bonus points are administered. The first is a drawing and the second is over-the-counter point of sale. Do you need more explanation on either of those?
Yeah, so if I understand correctly, if we keep it the same as it is now, which is an over-the-counter, then that does not necessarily mean they lose their bonus points unless we create an amendment that states that once you purchase an over-the-counter tag, you effectively have drawn a tag, if you will, or purchased a tag, and therefore you would lose your bonus points that you've accumulated by going the unlimited route.
Madam Chair, Vice Chair Tabor, in my conversations with legal and in preparation for this. My understanding is that when a license is issued, that's the trigger that would reduce your bonus points to 0. So my understanding is that regardless of how the license is received, according to statute and rule.
This video is sponsored by Blinkist. Use the link in the description and you'll receive 1 free week with 25% off an annual premium membership. Sometimes the story behind
I get a free membership.
is just as fascinating as the work itself.
Is that like lifelong sheep hunting or?
Content. Story of 20th century writer Fernando.
Is it possible to mute? Okay. Thank you.
You want to go ahead?
I'll try that again.
Yep.
My understanding is that when a license is issued, that reduces the accrued bonus points to 0. Regardless of how that license is purchased, the acquisition of the license should reduce the bonus points to 0.
So I think that may not be true. If there's a way we could check that. If it is true, then problems solved in that regard. If it's not true, then I think the suggestion coming from legal was, well, you could effectively have the unlimited applicant put in like we do on other unlimited licenses. And then when you do that, if they select that, then the bonus points will for sure go away. But I think it's the over-the-counter scenario that would require us to take further action and actually state that you'll lose the points if you do that.
Madam Chair, follow up.
Go ahead.
So the second on the over-the-counter sales, the option is to offer unlimited bighorn sheep licenses to the public through an over-the-counter point sale purchase, as we've been discussing. Individuals that purchase the license over the counter would also have the ability to purchase a bonus point later in the year. So their bonus point balance would not change among the years when an unlimited license was purchased over the counter. The commission could direct the department to have all individuals use any accumulated sheep bonus points upon purchase of the license. Purchasers of the over-the-counter license would not be eligible to apply for an unlimited sheep license via the drawing during the same year. The two options available to the commission to allocate hunting opportunities within unlimited license quotas is entirely social in nature and would not have no adverse effect on the bighorn sheep populations within these hunting districts. That's the legal's opinion on this.
Go ahead, Director.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair. So you're correct. Current practice, zeroing out of bonus points only happens if you draw a limited sheep license. So if you have bonus points on the books, and this is current practice I'm speaking to, if you have bonus points on the books and you buy an unlimited sheep license, your bonus points are not 0, Madam Chair.
So for a follow-up question, and maybe, I don't know, Quentin, maybe you might remember, it wasn't always that way. That seems to be a change that was made, I want to say in the last 5 years, where you could not accumulate points and do unlimited at the same time. That was a change that was adopted relatively recently. Does that sound right, Brian, or do you know?
Madam Chair, Vice Chair Tabor, I apologize, but I don't have an answer for that. That precedes my tenure with the agency.
Chair Robinson, Vice Chair Tabor, I'm thinking, and I wonder if the change is the ability to approach to secure that license both ways. I wonder if that's the change that has happened as I renew my memory banks.
So what I might do is I might just make a motion, because part of it gets back to some of the other elements of sheep. And when I was discussing this with the director, it indicated that biologically and other things, there's some soundness, and yet that wasn't the feedback I was getting from people that are there. And so late in the game, I want to say probably Monday night or Tuesday night, the Wild Sheep Foundation wrote a letter and it asked that perhaps we don't make any changes and let a group of people really analyze what's going on. Just to make it clear, my goal is to protect the unlimited license opportunity in sheep. That makes Montana stand aside from any other place really in the world for an opportunity to get after a bighorn sheep. So I want to bolster the system that protects the ability to stay on unlimited, because if we abuse it, then they're going to go all to special permit. And then that's that. That's what I'm trying to do. So the people in the public understand, I'm not trying to take anything away from you. I'm trying to preserve something. It also just intuitively feels kind of like it's double dipping, that you get to go with an unlimited license and you get to accumulate bonus points at the same time. That just feels kind of not right to me, but I'd like to hear. The thing I want to make sure though is that if I do make a motion and it is something that is supportable, that it's something the department thinks is workable. So out of the 2 recommendations that legal said we could do, is there a preference by the department whether you want to keep it unlimited and do away with the ability to do bonus points, or have the unlimited go in as an actual application, which then by necessitation makes those bonus points go away? Is there a preference one way or the other? And again, I'm not even assuming that this is going to pass, but I got to put something up so we can hear from the public.
Mr. or Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, I think that in terms of implementation, I think I would prefer that you address the bonus point issue rather than prescribing how the license gets issued.
Okay, perfect.
Madam Chair.
Thank you.
So, Sarah, I might need a little help with the languaging of that.
I'm gonna need a minute. I apologize. I'm trying to coordinate all of the amendments in one place.
Yep.
So
how about, I actually need to take a break. Let's take a break and we'll
Thank you,
come
Madam
back. Let's reconvene at 10:15, please. All right, we're gonna get started again. If everybody could be seated. Okay, Commissioner Tabor, do you have the wording for your proposed amendment?
Well, yes, I do. It'll be appearing on the screen shortly. So it's the top one.
Looks like it.
Madam Chair, it's labeled Vice Chair's proposed amendment, and I'll
Okay.
see if I can gray it out right there.
Okay, so, oh, don't do that. I can't read it as well.
Okay.
I know the one that. So you, okay, there we go. I move that the department adopt procedures that require the forfeiture of accumulated bighorn sheep bonus points upon issuance of any bighorn sheep license, and that they may not subsequently purchase a bighorn sheep bonus point for that year.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Commissioner Walsh. Okay, questions or comments on what that means, or what
And again, for purposes of having a dialogue in the public, I think we want to hear what people feel about this. And also in general, the concerns about limited, unlimited, if you've come to testify, because I do know that some people did make the drive here and want to be heard. So I think that's appropriate to at least hear from them.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Siebel.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Tabor, I guess just some questions on, in reading the public comments and obviously having some of the unlimited areas in Region 5. Just sitting here thinking about the logic of this and the requests of the the Wild Sheep Foundation to take a little time on this. I guess I realize this is a big deal. If someone has a lot of points built up and they have to go in now, they're used to hunting unlimited while they're building up points, because anyone can buy an unlimited tag and still get a bonus point. They're sitting there now, they're going to be faced with, going in unlimited and taking the risk. And again, it's based on a lot of public comments, which I appreciate. They're going to go in and take the risk of giving up all their points that they've been building up to go on a very low probability hunt. And I guess I just wanted to understand the motivation, and also understand if you'd be open to getting more input, and maybe postponing this until we can get more input from the stakeholders, including the wild sheep and hunters and others, because I know the deadline for bighorn sheep is May 1st. So a lot of questions there, but I'd like to get your comments on that.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Siebel, so point well taken. The answer is, am I open to anything, including delaying the decision? Absolutely. I think after we hear from the public and look at the comments, part of what motivates me is the overcrowding element that's starting to occur with unlimiteds. More and more people are coming to do that because it's popular. So, asking somebody to decide, do you want to do one or the other, seems like a fair question to ask. But I'd like to hear from the public, see what we get back for feedback. It's overwhelmingly no. We want to be able to accumulate points and hunt while we're doing it. Okay.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Commissioner Siebel.
Just a point of clarification, the way we're handling this is that we will vote yes or no on this amendment, and then the overall motion with amendments will go out for public comment. I guess I want to make sure that we'll meet Commissioner Tabor's or Vice Chair Tabor's request to get public comment on this, even if we decide to vote this down or defer it until a later meeting.
Question for Sarah, I guess. So the way we're doing this, when we come back for a vote after public comment has been made, if we wanted to remove that amendment before we did the final vote, is that possible?
Yes, Madam Chair.
So it would be possible.
So, yeah, sorry, Madam Chair, just point of clarity again. So we would, if we vote to approve the amendment, then it goes out as a package. If we vote now to not approve the amendment, it is something that could be deferred. It still could receive public comment today is my question. I apologize.
It's not on the agenda. It's not an agenda item. I mean, we could, but that's not what the motion is.
Okay.
Am I correct?
Yeah. Yes, Madam Chair. So if you do not vote the amendment, now, then it will not go out for public comment now with this
Right.
motion.
They could comment, but it wouldn't be commenting to the agenda item.
Thank you.
Chair Robinson.
Commissioner Walsh.
Commissioner Tabor, this does not really address your concern about the gaming the system and the late reporting. What's your idea there?
Madam Chair and Commissioner Walsh, you're correct. It doesn't. And so in that regard, I think after we hear from the public and comments, probably have a dialogue with the department of some things we maybe encourage them to do about ways to improve the reporting system and tighten it up so that there's a more real-time reporting of sheep. And I understand that the department has a different perspective as to whether, there's abuse there. So we want to hear from them on that as well.
Sarah, did you have a comment? Okay. Any other comments? Okay. All those in favor? Okay. All those in favor of you haven't made them. Okay. Who seconded it? That's what I don't have written down. Okay. Commissioner Walsh, thank you. All those in favor on the amendment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
So I'm going to have a raise of hands. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Okay, so we have Commissioner Tabor, Commissioner Lane, Commissioner Walsh. All those opposed, and Commissioner Siebel, Commissioner Burrows, and Commissioner Brook. All right, so I will break the tie. I am actually going to let it move forward, and after we listen to comments, then I'll entertain if there is a motion to remove it after comments are heard. So motion carries. Are there any other proposed amendments on Bighorn sheep? Okay. So what we're going out to public comment is the regulations as a whole with the 2 amendments that have passed. So anyone who would like to comment, please come up to the podium.
Director Temple, Madam Chair, members of the commission. My name is Ty Stubblefield. I live in Bridger, Montana, the cow town, not the ski town. That's important. I'm the new executive director for Montana Wild Sheep Foundation, and I want to extend my appreciation for you guys considering our comments in letters. We're a 700 passionate, hardworking volunteers and members who have put nearly $1 million on the ground in sheep conservation here in Montana. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to allow us to comment on Commissioner Tabor's and FWP's proposals. I'm going to start out with 214. So we'd like to extend all of our support, as we said in our letter, for all of the proposals as proposed. Sheep hunts and boundaries, with the exception of the changes in Unit 214, per the information provided in the justification portion of the proposal. The unit currently meets the requirements expressed in the 2010 Bighorn Sheep Conservation Strategy. Reports from our members who spend considerable time in this unit reflect a higher number of sheep counted than that reported. We speculate that these sheep are dispersing from their historical ranges. We ask that before the proposed changes in 214 are made, we work with biologists to conduct a more in-depth count using our member volunteers. We offer our volunteer and monetary support on that. I'd also like to express our concerns with the unlimited units in this proposal, and I wrote this up and everything's changed, so I'm going to scratch that. This happened fast. We didn't have a lot of time to reach out to our membership. The proposal as put forth today and move forward, I think we could get behind the unlimited bonus point loss or not getting them. Again, we want more time to reach out to our membership. We want more time to have a more inclusive working group on this with everybody involved in the unlimiteds. That's what we would ask.
Thank you
to
for your
come.
comments.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chairman, members of the commission, my name is Mac Menard, M-I-N-A-R-D. I'm the executive director of MOGA. I'm going to speak directly to the amendment that Commissioner Tabor brought. We've got others that will speak to the other elements. We're in favor of it. And I think it's a reasonable thing to do. The concern is preservation of unlimited opportunity into the future. And we're seeing sort of this rapid growth and participation. And yet it does seem a little bit odd that you can go year after year after year and still accumulate what is probably the most premier tag downrange. Make a decision, one or the other. But for that reason, we support it. If it goes to a delayed implementation, we value the relationship with our partners with the Montana Wild Sheep very, very much. And we would obviously be working very closely with them and their membership. It's a great organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Go ahead.
My name is Craig Neal. I'm an outfitter in the unlimited areas. I went to work for the Broken Heart in the early 90s. At that time, we hunted in 4 unlimiteds. There's 2 of them left. Is that better?
Yep.
At that time, we hunted in 4 unlimiteds. There's 2 of them left. The history of Montana FWP is once they take an unlimited away from us, they do not bring it back. The jewel of the unlimiteds is simply that it provides a hunt opportunity for an amazing amount of people to get into the mountains. You will have each unlimited area have 60 to 70 people to 90 to 100 plus every year. What's going on is that participation has increased to a point where the harvest levels are getting gamed. And you've got guys, they're using this thing right here, the cell phone. They're gaming waypoints. They're selling waypoints. They're selling hunt plans. It's easier to access individual pods in the unlimiteds than it ever was before. And what goes on, everyone in this room knows it, is once you lose the herd memory of a pod, you don't get it back. And so I would like you to support Mr. Tabor's proposal. I'd like you to consider the big effect of what's going on and take a look at what's going on in the unlimiteds. We don't want to lose them. We don't want to lose the hunt opportunity. It is a jewel of the continent. You've got guys right now that are using the check-in system that didn't always exist in the manner it does now to harvest a ram, get other people into that area to harvest a ram again before the 48-hour closure happens. Previously, the 48-hour closure, once it was implemented, you had 48 hours to harvest.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
My name's Justin Burdette, Region 2 Director of MOGA. On the amendments, MOGA does support Commissioner Burrow's amendment to go in any ram license with 250. It's been noted it's a serious problem with predation in there. Also a note, I don't think there's any evidence that there has been a pneumonia outbreak in 250. A lot of those in the department's proposal, a lot of those sheep heads that have been picked up could also be predation, which we do have direct evidence that there is a lot of predation. Also to Commissioner Tabor's amendment, I'm definitely in support, as Max said, of sacrificing your bonus points. That's kind of the point of hopefully that amendment is to relieve the unlimited districts of the influx of new hunters. And as people find this out, you got to kind of pick. Do you want to put in your whole entire life for a really special area, or do you want to hunt? You shouldn't be able to have, you don't have both. You probably should give up those bonus points if you want to hunt every single year. The additional U tag in 270, we are not in support of, just because 270 is next to 250. It doesn't make sense to be
taking another U out of that district when we have a bordering district that the sheep are really in trouble. And the 214, there's not enough evidence, I guess, to try to lower that quota. Probably leave that status quo. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else present? We have a big, long day ahead of us. So if you guys could come up to the podium right away, please. Thank
Okay,
you.
sorry, Madam Chair, members of the commission, Rob Arnault, I'm here speaking as an individual, but I'm an avid sheep hunter, and I'm actually maybe one of the only guys in the room that's killed a couple of rams out of the unlimited areas. I really support the idea that people burn their bonus points in order to hunt sheep. I support Mr. Tabor's proposal, but I also support the Wild Sheep Foundation's desire to possibly look at it and then throw in their support. It should be a collaborative effort, but it's a common sense thing. It used to be that way. If you hunted the unlimited areas, you did not get to accrue or carry bonus points. So I concur very much with Mr. Tabor and his motion.
Thank you. Oh, could you please come back and spell your last name for?
Sure. My name is Rob. Last name is Arnaud, Arnaud.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, my name is Jeff Lucas with the Montana Wildlife Federation. Very briefly, MWF supports the recommendations made by FWP on HDs 214, 250, 270, 305, 381, and 482. These small changes reflect what the public and biologists are seeing on the ground in a responsible way by acknowledging those changes through lowering permitted tags and quotas where populations are declining, and very modest increases where additional opportunity will not be a detriment to the local population. We'd also like to say that we support Ty Stubblefield's and Wild Sheep Foundation's statement, and we support Commissioner Tabor's amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else present? Okay, do we have anyone in the regional offices who would like to comment on this?
Madam Chair, we have no comment from the regional offices.
Okay, just FYI, Region 6 had a power outage, and so they're down. Is there anyone with?
Region 5, Madam Chair, has a person here to comment.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yep. Mr. Chairman and fellow chairman, my name is Doug Reason out of Ballantyne, Montana. Ballantyne is east of Billings, for if you ever never heard of it. I'd like to thank everybody for giving me the opportunity to testify today, and also thanks to the Region 5 staff here for setting up their equipment. I'd like to address some of Commissioner Tabor's comments referencing Montana's unlimited bighorn sheep hunting districts, as he provided a lot of inaccurate, misleading information, which has caused a lot of unnecessary apprehension among unlimited sheep hunters, including myself. I've had years of experience of hunting in unlimited areas, and especially the Beartooth Complex, hunting districts 500, 501, and 502. This past hunting season marked my 50th year of wearing boot leather out in the Beartooths. So I think I have some experience of observing what has taken place up there over the years and at the present time. Some of the problems that we see today isn't all the hunter's fault. There seems to be too many young illegal rams getting checked and passed for legal rams. This is a department issue that needs to be corrected by better training and a basic knowledge about bighorn sheep hunting, especially in the unlimited areas. I could go on further about the problems, but I really don't think this is a place to point fingers. There needs to be some better understanding with all the players, the FWP department, and the sheep hunters in general. Everybody needs to come together and get on the same page so that we can continue having the unlimited sheep hunting opportunities that there have been in the past. Montana is the envy of other Western states that have sheep hunting. I understand that Wyoming has explored this in the past years. How all this came up in front of the commission is questionable, especially since Tabor is a commissioner from Northwest Montana. The issue is a South Central Montana problem. Let the FWP down here look into it with the Montana Wild Sheep Foundation and all the players involved.
Comments.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I guess Region 6 is back online, but if the regions could turn their camera on when someone wants to comment, it's helpful for me so I can see that. But is there any other regions who have someone who would like to comment? Okay, let's go with anyone who has their hand raised, please.
Madam Chair, Michael Kelly.
Okay, you are still muted. Okay, there you go. Go ahead.
I'm unmuted?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to voice my concern with the abruptness of the amendment brought forth by Commissioner Tabor. I agree with Commissioner Siebel that this is a really big impact for a lot of sheep hunters. These hunts are notoriously difficult, notoriously low probability. And to have someone make that decision, you know, to forfeit their bonus points for a hunt that they might die at old age before getting access to, I think it just needs more time and more consideration. So that's my comment right there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Sherm Russell.
Okay.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello. I'm Sherm Russell Haber. I just wanted to say I'm in 100% favor of Commissioner Tabor's proposal. And I just want to comment on the whole drawing system, I guess. And I'm going to use myself as an example. I have been putting in for moose, sheep, and goat for 33 years, 31 years as a resident, and max points, except for one species. I've messed that up one year. I have not drawn any of them. We do a preference on our non-resident hunting and licenses. And I think it's because to give them incentive to buy that $50 point. My question is why, in my situation, what is the incentive for me to keep doing this? I mean, I don't think we're talking about fairness here. What is the fair? I mean, I've helped a guy with 2 points, second time he ever put in when helped him get his sheep. You hear this all the time. I know of one gentleman who's got a sheep, two sheep tags in 9 years. And you have to wait 7 to even put in. So I think the whole drawing system needs to be relooked at and go to a preference point and give people like me who's been at this for 33 years and can't, for whatever reason, seem to draw anything over somebody who just gets in the game and gets drawn. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. I think the whole system needs to be relooked at. And I know we've looked at the preference versus bonus before. And so I just wanted to make that comment, is I think the whole drawing system needs to be looked at. Too many people are playing the game, as pointed out in a previous comment. I know that for a fact. So anyway, that's my comment. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Madam Chair, there are no more comments online.
Okay. Sounds good. What is the pleasure of the commission? Oops, Commissioner Burrows.
Question right now. In the rationale background on Commissioner Tabor's amendment, it talks about, and this doesn't have to do with the bonus point. I think the bonus points, I'm kind of in the middle on that. But I think what's more concerning is the rationale saying here that it's
the only amendment that we have from Commissioner Tabor is the bonus points.
Yeah. Well, I'm reading the rationale, and I guess what I'm getting to is, to me, the bonus points is not as big an issue as, if I'm reading this correctly, in 2020, there were 6 extra rams harvested. Is that or what is that saying in that third line on the third bullet point? With 501 giving up 6 rams in 2020. And then it repeats it again. So I'm not quite sure what the numbers are saying. And 501 giving up 4 in 2020. So what what is that justification? How many extra Rams were taken on this unlimited license in 501? I
Brian.
guess I'd be interested to know the numbers in
Okay,
all
I'll-
five of the unlimited.
I'll let
districts.
Brian respond to that, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Burrows. We do have some information that was shared with us just recently by Sean Stewart, he's for Region 5, so it covers 3 of the areas in consideration. I don't have similar information for the Region 3, but I could give Warren Hansen here a heads up so he can start scrambling. But what we did get, in what he said is from 2007 through 2019, we sold an average of 225 licenses annually. The only 156 hunters actually went into the hills. Let me see if I can cut to the chase here on the harvest. While quota overruns do occur, they're relatively rare and seldom significant. Since 2000, HD 500 has gone over quota 3 times and been under quota 9 years. For the same time period, 501 has gone over quota twice and been under 7. Since 2008, HD 502 has gone over quota 5 times and has been under quota 9 years. These quota overruns average out over time, and the quotas are conservative to allow for the possibility of overrun. The only thing I'd add to that is if we do have a significant overrun, we do have the ability to reduce that in the subsequent year. And these older age class animals. They have to be the 3/4 curl or greater, the legal ram. And so those biologically are less important. What am I trying to say? They're not going to have an impact on the population. So that's kind of the feedback we've received on those. And I don't, like I say, I don't have similar information for Region 3.
Okay, I just didn't, Madam Chair, I didn't know what that meant, that statement with 501 giving up 6 Rams in 2020. I almost thought that meant we had a over harvest of 6 Rams in 2020. And I understand you broke it down by years, but maybe what's more important is, did we get a 6 Ram over harvest on a 2 Ram quota in 2020?
I don't have any other additional information right now. I'm not sure if Region 5 has someone that might be able to respond with more recent data if they're on the line.
Okay. Region 5, could you come on, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, this is Matt Ladd, Manager in Region 5. The overharvest in Region 5, of the 6 Rams total were harvested, 4 were overharvested. Those Rams came from 2 different groups of Rams, and in discussions with the biologist Sean Stewart, that was not significant. Not a significant impact to the population.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Siebel?
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask Vice Chair Tabor if he would he consider deferring his amendment so we can get some additional comment on this, deferring this potentially to the February meeting, and with that, if that would work with the timing of the publishing of regulations.
Okay, first of all, would the timing work to decide at our February meeting? February 16th.
Ask that question one more time, please.
If we deferred that amendment to be put on our February agenda, would the timing work for that? February 16th.
Madam Chair, members of the commission, the publication date, the transference to going to publication is in January. So we would miss the publication date, but there certainly are some avenues to consider that.
Dustin, would you like to speak to that?
Madam Chair, in addition to what Brian said, I think you've heard this is this would represent a significant decision for some folks. The application period opens in March and closes in May for bighorn sheep. So I think it would represent a significant challenge, not just in terms of regulations printing, but just making hunters aware of the choice before them, before that application deadline, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Siebel.
Madam Chair, I guess I'm confused by that. If we make the decision that the director does not believe we could get that information out, because I agree. I guess I heard public comment, reading public comments. It's very significant for some people to, especially those that use these unlimited areas, continue to sheep hunt in these areas while they're still applying for other units, and so it is a big decision. And I guess that's why I think it's worthy of some additional consideration and additional public input. So that's why I'm asking you, is it possible to do that, or do we need to make the final decision today?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Siebel, I'm just simply trying to identify for the commission that, anytime we run changes on a limited draw, the closer you get to the application period, it seems the more of a challenge it is to make people aware of the change. So the commission should just consider that. Not saying that the department won't make every effort and then some, should the commission make a change or choose not to. We will do everything we can, but our experience tells us the closer we get to an application period, changes are less likely to be absorbed by the public. Madam Chair, Commissioner Siebel.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I guess I would defer my question back to Vice Chair Tabor to see if is there any interest in his part on deferring this decision and getting more public input.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Siebel, I would be inclined to do that. I do think that we heard probably the preponderance of the people that said the bonus thing does seem sensible. I think I even heard that from the sheep folks, but I also want to do everything the right way in terms of garnering everybody's support on something this significant. So I would be happy to entertain a motion if somebody wants to quash my motion. Is that how we do it? Do we have to vote to remove it?
Madam Chair, yes.
So is there a motion to remove the Commissioner Tabor's amendment? Commissioner Walsh?
I have one question before we make that motion, and that is, when was this amendment provided to the public? And do we not feel that we got sufficient feedback?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Wall. So I put this in 7-8 days ago, I think, and had quite an interchange back and forth between the legal department of where our authority did or didn't come forth. And so I don't think this got posted until Tuesday night. So a lot of times, even though we've put it in, there's quite a process the department has to get through to their response. I think they were checking and everything else. So I think it's fair to say that they haven't seen this one since Tuesday, which, and here we are Thursday.
And we do have the authority to make amendments the day of, but it's just up to us to decide what we want to do with it.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Siebel.
Given the magnitude of this, and even if we don't feel good about doing it even for this season, this is something that even if it went into effect for the next drawing, I think it's a big enough impact. And I'd love to know more about the history of when we started going to accumulating bonus points, even when you got an unlimited tag. And I know there's a lot of people with a lot of bonus points that hunt in my region for unlimited sheep and enjoy the experience. So with that, I guess in that consideration, I'd like to make a motion to quash Vice Chair Tabor's amendment to this and postpone a decision on that.
Is there a second? Okay, seconded by Commissioner Brooke. Any further questions or comments before I go to a vote to remove Commissioner Tabor's amendment? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Yay.
Nay.
Okay, I'm gonna have to use all in favor, please raise your hands. I can't see you, Commissioner Siebel. Okay. Okay, all those opposed, same sign. Okay. I am going to lean towards going out for more public comment. So I vote in opposition or in favor of removing the amendment for now.
Madam Chair. So I'd like to ask the department to do a couple of things, and I'd also like the Sheep Foundation. One of the things in the Sheep Foundation's letter is they had made a suggestion to bring stakeholders together and look at things comprehensively. I think that's a very sensible approach. I'd like the department to facilitate something of that nature so that we can get some recommendations. One of the reasons that I think Commissioner Siebel referenced it, this is perhaps just a one-year deal, so it is possible that we could evoke the limitation for the 24, or I guess it would be the 25 season. So I'm okay with that for waiting a year. But then the other thing I would ask the department to do, Brian and Ken, if you could look at this reporting process and some of the comments that were made about the communication in the field. This is real now, given the technology with inReaches and the ability for folks to text. It's really disconcerting that we are basically got some activity that allows people to, effectively find where game is and then also figure out how to maximize the amount of harvest before the thing gets closed. So it would be great if the department could maybe examine that and see if there's ways we could tighten things up so that that does not get abused, because that just doesn't feel right to get a report back like that. So.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, you have our commitment. We will facilitate that conversation as you've described, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, all those in favor of the original motion with Commissioner Burrow's amendment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Same sign. Motion carries. Are we good? Yeah. All right. So are you going to try to do bison, moose, and goat together? Did we say that before? Or?
Certainly can do that. So, Madam Chair, with bison, there's essentially one minor change that we'd like to point out here. That change is that we'd like to establish a quota range primarily for the 395.20. That has not been in existence before, but this is where the bison come out of become accessible, and it's kind of variable depending upon the number of bison that may be migrating and the weather for that particular year. And so that's the one change there. With moose, when we were here 2 years ago, through the season setting process, one of the questions that came up was whether or not we could adopt an archery only season. The department's evaluated that, and we are recommending the inclusion of an archery only season. This wouldn't be a separate draw. This would be earlier season dates that would apply to the tags that are drawn. And it would start the first Saturday of September and run through September 14th. And that's for any that do not already have a rifle season that occur there. We've got some adjustments, largely eliminating a single license and creating a couple of 3 other places where we're looking at creating hunting opportunities. And as a result of that, one of those being Region 7, we'd have a boundary change that needs to be adopted to go along with that. And with mountain goat, I'll jump into that real quick as well. and then I'll take questions on any of those. Again, this is another one where we have the request for adding an archery only season. We have we went ahead and added that. That's part of our recommendation. The same thing that it would be a first Saturday in September through September 14th in any unit that does not already have a rifle season there. And the one thing we also wanted to include was a definition for adult female mountain goat. We didn't currently have one. And, despite the fact that that was one of the descriptions for a legal animal, so we added that definition, largely commensurate with the same definition that we have for bighorn sheep. But those are the summary of the changes that we have. Be glad to try to address any questions on any of those.
Okay, I will take motions separately on each one of these and any questions or comments. I don't see any proposed amendments that were submitted previous to the meeting, but that doesn't preclude you from doing them here. So we'll start with Bison.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Brooke.
I move the Fish and Wildlife Commission vote to approve changes identified in the Bison regulation mock-up to include opportunities, season dates, quotas, and quota ranges as presented by the department, and 2, all other Bison regulations contained in the 2023 regulations, except for those affected by regular calendar rotations unless addressed in some of the proposal to be adopted for the 2024-2025 bison hunting season and districts.
I second.
Okay, Commissioner Lane beat you to it. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we can move on to moose.
Madam Chair.
I move that the Fish and Wildlife Commission vote to amend changes identified in the moose regulation mock-up to include opportunities, season dates, quotas, and quota ranges as presented by the department as follows. And all other moose regulations contained in the 2023 regulations, except for those affected by regular calendar rotations, unless addressed somewhere in other proposals adopted in the 24 and 25 moose hunting seasons and districts.
There's a second?
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. Okay, mountain goat.
Madam Chair,
Commissioner Brooke.
I move the Fish and Wildlife Commission vote to approve changes identified in the mountain goat regulation mock-up to include opportunities, season dates, quotas, and quota ranges as presented by the department, and 2, all other mountain goat regulations contained in the 2023 regulations, except for those affected by regular calendar rotations, unless addressed in some other proposal to be adopted for the 2024-2025 mountain goat hunting seasons and districts.
Okay, Commissioner Lane seconded it. Okay, are there any questions or clarifications before I go out for public comment? I am going to take comment on all 3 of them at the same time with the 2-minute time limit.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yes.
One other point of clarification, I skipped over with the bison. We do have a recommended reduction in permits from 40 to 25 in that same one that we have the quota range. I just wanted to make that clear. It's in all the documentation, but I skipped over that.
Okay. All right. Any questions? Okay, I will open it up to comments on bison, moose, and mountain goat, please.
Chair Robinson, Commissioners, my name is Stephen LePage. That's spelled L-E-P-A-G-E, and I serve on the board of directors for the Montana Bowhunters Association. We would wholeheartedly support the moose and goat proposed changes to the season structure. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Any further commenters?
Madam Chair, members of the commission, Jeff Lucas, Conservation Director with the Montana Wildlife Federation. Bison regs, MWF supports the proposed quota range for backcountry hunts. Bison hunts, these tags represent an opportunity for a really difficult hunt with high rewards. Moose regs, we'd like to support changes to moose regulations regarding an archery only portion of the season for moose and the addition of a Region 7 moose permit. While we are concerned about adding antlerless opportunities in HDs 326 and 327, adjustments to quotas in ranges 332, our hope is that these are reflective of population increases of moose in those districts. We do urge a cautious approach to increasing cow moose harvest anywhere in the state. Mountain goat regs, MWF supports adding the archery only portion of the season for mountain goat permittees, as well as a clarification on the definition of ewe. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further commenters? Okay. Do we have anyone in the regional offices that would like to comment in any of those? Bison, moose, mountain goat.
Madam Chair, there are no comments in the regional offices.
Okay, thank you. How about anyone with their hand raised?
Madam Chair, there are no attendees online with their hand raised.
Okay. All right, we will start with the bison. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Okay, motion carries. Moose.
Madam Chair,
Oh.
before we go to a vote, I had a question for Mr. Wakeling.
Sure.
Mr. Wakeling, could you address the issue with regards to the antlerless moose and the observations made by one of the testifiers?
Certainly. Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair Tabor. The department takes a very conservative approach to any kind of increase, and we're, part of the analysis that we've completed several studies on the moose populations. We look at the demographics closely. They are a challenging species to keep a good indication on when you're looking at trying to conduct a survey, for instance. They don't lend themselves well to that. However, just like, what we saw with bighorn sheep and 250, for instance, there's often far more animals out there than what we're aware of. And so our biologists tend to be very conservative in their approach to that. And so we're not, that's where our quota ranges play. We look at how the hunter harvest plays out. We look at, the age structure of that harvest. And so we do pay close attention to the demographics and the demographic information we have available to us. And, the department has routinely, when we determine that we've got something that's unsustainable or needs to be modified, we certainly would come back to the commission during an off cycle in order to address it, if a challenge presented itself.
Thank you, Mr. Wakeling. Any other questions? I'm taking over for the chair. We have a coffee.
Mr. Vice Chair.
Yes.
Hey, I just want to point out that that Sarah has the wrong motion highlighted on the screen. We actually have the main motion, I think, was what was proposed.
It's not up yet. So it's the gray motion.
Correct, not the yellow. I just wanted to point that out.
The top one.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay. Mountain goat, any questions or clarifications needed before we take a vote on that? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just a quick question for Mr. Wakeling about Bison. I didn't get in. It's not related to the motion, but may I go ahead?
Oh, go ahead. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wakeland, just a quick question about the bison. There was a lot of references to tribal harvest in a lot of the comments, and I know that's got a lot of press. Is anyone in the department tracking, or is there a way or means to track the amount of harvest that's happening outside of the Montana regulated seasons?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Siebel, yes, the answer to that is yes, and I'm going to ask Warren Hanson, our wildlife manager from Region 3, to respond to that. And let him be a little more detailed.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair Robinson, members of the commission. To answer your question, we don't have report harvest requirements from treaty member harvests of bison throughout the region. Our game wardens, biologists, and partners in the Park Service are on the ground regularly monitoring what is happening. And we do have weekly reports that we work with our tribal governments to self-report the harvest that is taking place by each individual tribe. And those relationships are going well. We are also working on a